In the year 2020, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, revealed that the Nigerian judicial sector ranked highest on the corruption index between 2018 and 2020. A citizens' perception survey conducted by Anvari Tech Researchers NG and Beansika Insights in 2021 also found that 71% of Nigerians lack trust in the judiciary. This survey, which polled 1,861 respondents across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones, showed that respondents disagreed that the judicial system is fair and treats everyone equally. Only 28.8% agree that the justice system is fair. Recent events in the nation have raised questions about the integrity of the justice system, with concerns over judicial autonomy, delayed trials, detentions without bail, allegations of bribery and classism in getting fair judgments and contradicting court judgments. Now, many Nigerians have wondered if the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, will take on the task of restoring public trust in the justice system. While some Nigerians are optimistic, others have raised concerns about the CJN's relationship with some politicians. Joining us to discuss the integrity of the Nigerian justice system is a legal practitioner and the convener of Vanguard for the Independence of the Judiciary, Douglas Ogbankwa. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Mr. Ogbankwa. We're joined. Good to have you. Also joined this morning by legal practitioner Evans Ufeli. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. So let's start with something that we alluded to, or I alluded to while speaking. One of the criticism leveled against the Chief Justice of the Federal Republic. You know, we're seeing that there have been allegations of frolicking with politicians, and we've seen a number of people share their pieces and opinion ads on articles about this. Is this something that one should worry about? I'll start with Mr. Ogbankwa.
Okay. Apparently, this allegation against the Chief Justice of Nigeria of frolicking with politician is tied to the commissioning of judges' quarters by the Minister of the FCT, where my Lord, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, was present. And some persons questioned the propriety of the Chief Justice of Nigeria being present at such an occasion, knowing that the Minister of the FCT has cases in courts, and some of those cases will get to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Particularly speaking, I am aware that there is something known as the Code of Conduct for Judicial Officers, and that is actually the instrument that regulates the conduct of judicial officers in public and private affairs. And one of the articles in that Code of Conduct stipulates that a judicial officer shall not conduct himself in a way that would expose him to persons who ordinarily have litigations in his court. And even the same Code of Conduct talks about judicial officer receiving gifts, which may, in one way or the other, suggest that it could lead to a compromise of the justice system. So that takes us to the situation of ministers or governors building houses and buying cars for judicial officers. The Code of Conduct for Judicial Officers was not made by us lawyers, it was made by they to guide them. And one would expect that judicial officers should keep to those Code of Conduct. So the scenario of the governor buying cars, for example, and sharing it for judges in the states, or a minister building houses and sharing it for judges in the state, Emefiele may as well buy cars and build houses, or Konesambo Dasuki, or anybody who has a case in court. I would expect our judicial officers to conduct themselves in a way and manner that will instill public confidence in the judicial system. I usually say that the appellation, my Lord, is one that is made for the Almighty God. And when you bear that appellation, my Lord, you should actually, like Caesar's wife, live above board. You should not live your life in a way that would suggest or instill some kind of suspicion in any way whatsoever. So I would say that the fact that judges are being given houses, are being given cars, I'm talking generally, is actually something that we should worry about, because the persons who give these houses and who give these cars, they have cases in the courts of my lord. A scenario happened when the Security and Exchange Commission held a conference in London with some judges of one of the courts in Nigeria. And we raised an eyebrow and said, why would an agency of the federal government who has cases in the courts of my lord be holding exclusive conferences in London where you do not have lawyers who represent the other party or even the parties themselves? So if the Security and Exchange Commission, for example, organized a conference in London, can, let's say, a stockbroker organize a conference in London, if the EFCC organizes a conferences and judges are there, ex-parte, they are the solely judges and the EFCC and their lawyers are there, can a Yahoo boy, unquote, organize a conference? Then the judges also will be there. Let's call it spade a spade. Let's do things the right way. We have to do our, because there's a lot of suspicion of the judicial system in Nigeria. And those who run Nigerian judiciary should instill confidence. And aside what you just talked about, I think for the very first time in a long while, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, GCFR, as chairman of the National Judicial Council, has shown that the National Judicial Council cannot just work, that it can bite. So we have seen a scenario, for example, where judges were dismissed. 2 judges were dismissed, and 2 others were suspended. And we have a lot of investigations ongoing, committees constituted to investigate complaints from Nigerians against judges. And the investigations are at fever pitch. That is one scenario that has not existed for a very, very long time. So it is important for our judiciary to be very, very circumspect about how they are perceived by the public, because the confidence that the public has in them in dispensing justice is important in the whole spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to come back to you, because I also like to know about, what role you are also playing in cleaning up, the judiciary around you. But let's bring in Evans Ufeli. The statistics showing bribery in the justice system are staggering. They're disappointing. And I don't know that anybody can, act like they don't see it. So Ufeli, tell me about what the reality really is around you. Situations that you maybe are familiar with. Where is the thickest form of bribery that happens around the judiciary that you are aware of? I think your device might be muted.
I'm not muted.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, the situation is quite very bad. Even if you cannot clearly, by virtue of evidence, point directly to a particular judge, mention the name and say, at so time of the day, of the year, of the month, you took bribe of so amount, thereby convoluting or perverting the justice system and turn against a litigant in the process. Even if you cannot do that, with evidence, with timing and all that, you can see the handwriting in the wall. Don't get me wrong, it's not all judges that are corrupt in the country, but we have seen from judgments and from disposition of certain judges in the judicial system that all is not well at all with the process. I mean, access to justice has become something that is so unfortunate in the country, largely so because when you look at how politicians have dealt with different spheres or different areas of the country, the politicians have been able to first erode the people by vote buying, able to buy off the electorate and then put them in a bag. Then they have gone ahead to also buy the umpire, that is INEC. I mean, especially so, largely so, we've seen cases where return officers were arrested, confessions made, and we've seen how the last general election went. It's not anything to write home about. That is to say, the umpire have been technically bought over by the politicians. Now the politicians have taken a step further, having conquered those two fears. Have taken a step further to, conquer the judiciary, and that is by inducement, that is by bribery. Now there's increase in their salary by 300% all of a sudden. They're building houses for them, so to hand over houses for them and all that to them and all that. And the persons who are doing this are persons who have matters in court, who have criminal matters, who have allegations and all that. So at the end of the day, the phase where we are now is the last phase wherein the country will be completely eroded by bribery and corruption. And once that is done, it means that the politicians now have a leeway to use money. The highest bidder will now become the system that determines justice in the country. And this is unfortunate. It is unfortunate because no one is willing to challenge the status quo. Okay, people are afraid. People don't want to talk. And when you talk, they ask you, where's the evidence? When you talk, they ask you that, do you have any case at hand which you can point to us with evidence that someone took bribe and all that? So by the time we structure this country like this, it's slipping off us. We are pretending. We don't want to look at the situation. We're not ready for the conversation. And we're talking about a great Nigeria to come. So it's going to be very difficult for us to really confront these issues, because I've been to places where access to justice is taken so seriously that you are not allowed to even go close to a judge. You're not allowed to organize any party, to give any gifts to any judge, and you're not allowed to do all that. There's an institution that should manage all that, and that institution should not abdicate that responsibility to a governor of a state or a minister of the FCT to now be the one to take care of. I mean, what about NLC, for example?
Yeah,
they're about to go on strike now.
I want us to keep our focus on the judiciary. I see that you've mentioned INEC, but I want us to focus strictly on the judiciary. I know it might be difficult as well for you to say outright, but are you alluding somehow, some way to the fact that you are aware that judges are being bribed, judicial officers are being bribed, lawyers take bribes?
That is not out of place. I mean, the system clearly shows and established the fact that all is not well. And that the cadres of persons you mentioned now, that we have bad eggs, we have people in the judicial system that receive bribe. Are we afraid to say that some judges receive bribe? Some of them receive bribe, and it shows in the way they carry on with their activities. And that is quite very clear. So whoever is out there to say that the judicial system is very clean should say that and then show us the justice system. I mean, the justice quotient of the country, whether it is absolutely what it should be on the basis of law, what we are taught, in school. We are not there simply because in the judicial system, you find people who are striving for survival, okay? People who are greedy, who have no business with the job in the first place.
All right.
Now, when you back, you look at how they are recruited, some of them, how they are recruited into the system. As people who have no passion for the job are recruited into the system because of nepotism. Sometimes because they have, other influences surrounding them. So they just, recruit people who have no integrity, recruit people who can actually turn the justice system upside down and not have any sense of conscience as to what they are doing, being wrong. So the outcome, the outcome is exactly what we're looking at now, that these persons will take gratification, turn down whatever it is as a principle of law, the ethics of the profession, and do exactly whatever they want to do and get away with it. That is the unfortunate thing about the system that must be addressed.
So I'd like now to bring in Mr. Ogbankwa and find out, my colleague had asked this earlier, and I would like to follow up on the question as to what role legal practitioners have to play in being able to fight corruption in Nigeria's judiciary system, especially because, I mean, you heard Mr. Ufeli and some of the conversations that he's had. There are people who would argue that even to be able to obtain certain positions, like maybe the SAN, that you have to be able to ensure that certain judges know you. You have to ensure that there are certain things you need to do to ensure that when it comes up, your case is easier to be able to scale through. And some of these judges are just, lawyers are just really trying to make ends meet. So how can lawyers and legal practitioners speak up, but beyond speaking up, fight against the corruption in the justice system?
Thanks very much. Now, you see, this is where the Nigerian Bar Association comes in. But unfortunately, I want to say it on national television, that the Nigerian Bar Association has failed in its responsibilities to ensure that the right thing be done as it concerns the independence of the judiciary and for judges to conduct themselves properly. I want to say this. Many people don't know this. It is very difficult for any state judiciary in Nigeria to carry out any expenditure that's above 1 million naira without the approval of the governor. If any state judiciary anywhere in Nigeria, when I mean state judiciary, you know what I mean, like Edo State, Lagos State, Delta, and Anambra State, Imo State, wants to carry out any programs that is above 1 million naira, it must be approved by the governor. How can you say that is a judiciary? How can that be a judiciary? The same governor that have cases in their court is the one that approves expenditure for them to carry out programs and objectives. If the governor does not buy car for any judge, no judge will have a car in Nigeria. I'm talking about state judiciary now. The federal judiciary is almost completely independent. The federal judiciary. I'm talking about state judiciary. If a state governor does not buy a car for a judge, the judge will not have an official car. So how can you have justice in such a scenario? And you have 106 branches of the Nigerian Bar Association. All we do jamborees every year. We don't sit down and tell ourselves the truth. Even when we hold our annual general conferences, we do not even discuss issues that concern us. We discuss extraneous issues. I, on my own, have tried as much as possible. For example, in Edo State, when Governor Godwin refused to swear in judges for a year, I fought, even though I was being fought, they fought me back, but even inside the fight that we were fighting, I was standing firm. And I told them, you don't have a right to say you don't swear these judges in, because these judges have been approved by the National Judicial Council. By the time Godwin Obaseki was to swear in those 8 judges, he swore in only 5. And he did not swear in 3. What did our Bar Association, both at the local and the national level, do about it? Popo Martins came all the way from Warri to address that issue. And at the point he said he was going to take that to the general, to legal practitioner disciplinary committee for conduct of becoming of a lawyer. I can tell you that the NBA nationals read that on him and they removed him as chairman of the NBA's FIDEL. And at the state level, the state government came for me too. So, and I want to tell you, the Bar Association should stand up to be counted. Because it is the bar that is the bedrock of the justice system in this country. The bar have not acted as a bedrock. Chief Gani Fairwell, blessed memory, said the legal profession ought to be and must strive to remain the dependable person of hope, help and succor for the repressed, the oppressed, and the suppressed in our society. We do jamborees every year. We hold dinners, annual general conferences. How many times have we called the governors to account? Do you know that by section 121, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, amended by the 5th section, states that any money standing to the credit of the judiciary shall be paid directly to the heads of courts. Do you know the judiciary does not even need to get money from government? They generate their own revenue. But the revenue is paid into the coffers of the State Board of Internal Revenue. That is the truth. These billions you see State Board of Internal Revenue declaring every month, it is the judiciary that generates it.
Yeah, I mean, but unfortunately...
Like I told one day in the conference, I told him, you are not funding the judiciary is the one funding you.
Yeah, I mean, we could pass...
$1,000 payment for filing fees. When EFCC charges people to court and they plea bargain, sometimes they pay 200,000, 1 million, that money goes into the coffers of the state government, but it's generated by the judiciary. If somebody dies in some states of the federation, you pay 5% of any money in the bank to the state government when the court gives an order or letter of administration. In other states, you pay 10%. Money lenders license is there. Fines for people that have been convicted. This money goes to the cover of the state government, but the money generated by those are money standing to the credit of the judiciary according to section 1213 of the Constitution. We have bar associations everywhere. They don't have the balls to stand against these governors. They want to maintain the nomenclature friend of governor. But our judiciary is just there.
Yeah.
It is budget.
Hold on, Mr. Ogbankwa.
The person who controls the money controls the process.
Yeah.
And I have said it in many forums. I'm very passionate about this because, as a matter of fact, I have been a personal victim of what I'm talking about. It is budget that is governance. It is the person who controls the money that controls the process.
Yeah, so, Mr. Ogbankwa, kindly hold on. We need you to hold on. We need to go on an ad break. Kindly hold on, Mr. Ogbankwa. We need to go on an ad break. When we come back, we'll have you, finish your thoughts, but I think you've established, what the major problem is, and it sounds like everyone knows that, their neighbors in the judiciary, they're all getting bribed somehow, some way. There's a lot of issues, financial issues in the judiciary system. But we'll talk about it when we come back and also bring in Ufeli. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the judiciary system and, spotting out some of the anomalies and what needs to be changed. Let's bring in Barrister Ufeli as we wrap up our thoughts to find out exactly how you think we can proceed. The contradictory judgments, River State, the Kano Emir tussle, you remember how we were seeing contradictory court judgments. These are just one of the plethora of issues bedeviling Nigeria's justice system. But how do we proceed from here, Mr. Ufeli? And if you can share your thoughts in 1 minute, we'll appreciate that.
It is actually a very hard time to be a lawyer in this country, because if you look at the gamut of the principles of law, as against what is practiced in Nigeria, it is difficult to contain your anger under this situation. The situation under reference calls for cleansing, all kinds of cleansing, moral cleansing, and behavioral cleansing, ethical cleansing, and all that. It is our system, our judicial system. Sometimes you want to cry. Sometimes you don't know what to do as a lawyer. And when you look at the way lawyers handle the issue under reference, so many lawyers are so comfortable about just survive, just go to court, conduct your cases, get your client to pay you, go to bed, wake up the next day, go to court, conduct cases, collect money from client, and this system is decaying. What the rules of professional conduct and ethics that binds our profession, that made our profession a noble one, have been eroded by the conduct and characters of men of the states. And we watch it decay. We watch it go. I mean, this is not the best time at all to. So this is my call on lawyers. Okay. If the judges have defined their part, and those who give gratification to the system to pollute and influence it have taken their part, it is then the time of lawyers to, let's drop our wig and gown and go and look into the system and cleanse it. Let us march, to the point where this problem is being generated from, and let's go and correct it. We cannot continue like this. This is a profession that was handed over to all. Something to hand over to, those who are coming after us. our successors. So we must do something about to ensure that the judicial system is clean for all and sundry, so that we can have a system, something very befitting that can be bequeathed to the lawyers coming.
Okay, well, Mr. Ogbankwa, 1 minute, please. We need to wrap up.
It's very important for Nigerian legal practitioners to understand that it is in our interest to insist that the independence of the judiciary is actually accentuated to the highest level. It is not about, just like my learned friend said, law practice is not a business. Law practice is like a calling. Those who see that business, I wish them well. But law practice, as far as I'm concerned, is about being like a priest in the society. You stand between man and God. Both the judges and the lawyers, they stand as a gap between men and God. So we must understand the enormity of the powers that we carry. We hold the destiny of a nation in our hands. And it is important for us to ensure that for there to be the integrity of the process to be expanded, it is there, we must establish some structure and some protocol that will be sure that no man will be somewhere dictating what is happening. Because he who controls the budget controls the docket. That's the truth. So I want to reiterate, budgeting is governance. The person who pays the piper dictates the tune. And the Bar Association, it's a clarion call, the Bar Association. They should wake up both at the national level and at the local level. It's beyond issuance of statements. We must start now to start filing cases to court. And let me tell you, it's a very funny scenario that when we file cases in court that the judiciary should be independent, the same judiciary will rule against us.
Right. Okay.
There's no passion.
Gentlemen, we have to go now. Thank you so much for your time with us. We will keep continuing to shine the light on Nigeria's justice system and reminding lawyers and practitioners within the space about the role that we all need to play in ensuring that we sanitize Nigeria's justice system. Thank you for your time with us.
You're welcome.